Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jumi Olabanji. I'm co-anchor of News for Today at NBC Washington, and so thrilled to be joining you all this afternoon. I want to welcome you to the YWCA National Capital Area's virtual luncheon, Empowered Women Make It Happen. What a title. We are honored that you could join us here this afternoon as we share just a few stories from our students who have really navigated the last year with tremendous strength and also grace. We're also excited to present 4 outstanding women from our region with the 2021 Leadership Award for their exceptional work in helping our community navigate a tough year and COVID-19 and really the entire pandemic. First, this afternoon, I would like to introduce YWCA National Capital Area's Chief Executive Officer, Monica Gray, who will share some welcoming remarks. Monica?
Good afternoon. I'm Monica Gray, Chief Executive Officer of the YWCA of the National Capital Area. Welcome to our first virtual luncheon. On behalf of the YWCA of the National Capital Area, family of students, staff, and supporters, we thank you for sharing your time with us today. I'd like to acknowledge our 2021 luncheon sponsors. At the energizing level, we have Carefirst, BlueCross, BlueShield. At the enlightening level, we have PNC Bank, as well as Dan and Teresa Schwartz. At the engaging level, we have Kathy Bradley Wells, City First Bank, Diverse Ability, Artencia Hawkins Bell, Kirkland Hicks, Stan and Rosemary Marcus, Michelle Simmons, Marilyn Massey Ball, Strategies that Strengthen Families and Communities, Alan and Cindy Thompson, Tysley Williams, Sandy Wan, and Amy Wright. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic created unprecedented challenges for everyone around the world. In our country, Black communities and communities of color suffered a dramatic loss of life due to COVID-19 and unequal access to medical care, as well as the life-saving vaccine. Women, particularly women of color, were more likely to have jobs that are deemed essential, leaving them with the impossible choice between their health and safety and their ability to provide for their families. So many were forced to leave the workforce as industries, offices, childcare facilities, and schools closed. Yet our doors remained open and in service to our community as a whole. I'm proud to say that the YWCA National Capital Area immediately transitioned nearly all of our programming to virtual in order to continue to serve our students. Online learning hasn't always been easy, but our amazing staff met every challenge with creativity and grace. And I'm immensely proud of how we've continued to serve our students in spite of the additional challenges provided by the pandemic. For over 100 years, the YWCA of the National Capital Area has worked tirelessly to empower women, eliminate racism, and serve Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia communities. With our mission guiding us, we have developed strategic programming aimed to assisting women, girls, and families in the National Capital Region to achieve their professional, educational, and personal goals. One of these robust programs is the Career Education and Training Center, or CETC, which is available to adults 18 years and older in the Washington, D.C. area. In previous years, our office on 14th Street has served as the hub for our adult learners to attend classes, receive case management services, build workforce skills, and find community. However, as you can imagine, it has been a quieter year in our 14th Street facility. While it has certainly been challenging to navigate the continuation of the CETC during the global pandemic, it has also allowed us to think creatively about how to make our programming accessible to our community. With the help of our incredible CETC staff, we've been able to continue serving our adult learners virtually and have watched many of our students achieve great success, passing certifications, securing jobs, and improving their skills in a variety of areas. The tenacity of our learners and staff has been inspiring. And while we hope these days of only virtual learning will be behind us soon, it has been a privilege to watch our learners in the CETC grow and achieve so much during an extraordinarily challenging year. Our Empower Girls and Empower STEAM programs have had similar experiences over the past year. When schools transitioned to remote learning back in March of 2020, our Empower Girls program, which is an interactive mentoring and leadership program integrated into several DC public schools, transitioned to a virtual platform as well. For the middle and high school girls in the Empower Girls program, it was a huge, often difficult transition. However, like our CETC staff, our Empower Girls staff members and volunteers thought innovatively about how to continue their mentorship program virtually so that the girls who looked forward to the sessions, leadership trainings, mental health support, and college prep didn't miss a beat. When the school year ended and it was clear that COVID-19 wasn't going anywhere, we were once again faced with the challenge of transitioning our Empower STEAM Summer Academy, a summer program for girls that focuses on exploring science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics, to a virtual format. And once again, the grit of both our staff and our young students encouraged us to find new ways to bring the Empower STEAM program right to our students' living rooms. In fact, in 2020, more than 100 girls joined us virtually, creating a desperately needed supportive community during an extraordinarily challenging time. Our students' flexibility and eagerness to learn is an inspiration and is why we believe so wholeheartedly in investing in women and girls in our community. Through a year of so much loss and so many challenges, they continue to exceed expectations, and we have loved witnessing and cheering for their success. We also transitioned our financial education program for survivors of domestic violence to a virtual platform. Over the past year, more than 100 women have participated in this incredible program that includes credit counseling, budget planning, and a matched savings account. As you know, we've always maintained a small food pantry for our students and their families. When food insecurity became a major concern for many, including our students, their families, and the greater community, we moved our food pantry up to our lobby and opened it up to our neighbors in need, and we continue to serve families each week. And lastly, we will continue our courageous work to fight and eliminate racism. Thank you to all of you who joined us for our annual Stand Against Racism event at Freedom Plaza this past April, and for those who continue to support our courageous conversations. We couldn't have done any of this without the incredible support of donors and supporters like you.
Thank you so much, Monica. We appreciate your words this afternoon. We are now very excited to be joined by Brenda Bell, who will share a few words. She is one of our Career Education and Training Center students. Brenda.
My name is Brenda Bell. I started with YWCA back in January, and PEPCO referred me to YWCA through the Department of Employment Services for DC. And I saw that they had this administrative support certification class. And I was like, okay, well, that seems pretty interesting. And it definitely helped me because I've been out of school for so long, maybe about 11 years. And I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Like, how is it gonna be? You know, what are the classes? Is it gonna be super hard? I do enjoy the information tech class and the social skills class. The soft skills, the soft skills is very, very good. I tell Ms. Dana that is a very good class because it helped me touch on so many things that I know I needed to strengthen. You know, self-management, time management, work ethics, and just other little transferable skills that I could use between in my life, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, if I'm volunteering. And I really appreciated that portion of the class because I'm going through things now, like trying to build a business and taking courses. I'm working full time. So I'm just wearing all these hats. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to manage what I got going on. And then, you know, going into the soft skills class, going over those lessons, I was just like, oh, well, that's what I was just thinking about doing, or that's how I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I got this information of the why from Department of Employment Services, which led me to the class, which led me to the orientation, and starting literally that next week after the orientation, which was great. And it was just so flexible, the flexibility of it all, especially with everything that I just have going on with the pandemic, you know, trying to keep up with everyday life. And this has been honestly great for me. Above all, amazing, because I'm able to still do something new, you know, get a new certification, receive more information about things that's going on, the resources that the Y have, and just other nonprofit organizations in the city. And yeah, that's just pretty much where I'm headed, to get a new certification and transfer into a new work field. And I felt that the Y was a good place for me to start. Now I'm here having a conversation with you ladies. Huge thanks, huge thanks to the Y, Miss Dana, Miss Gill, Miss Marisha. I appreciate you. You wear so many hats, Miss Marisha. I don't know how you do it, but you're getting it done. Mr. Demps, I don't know any of the donors, but guess what, you guys? I appreciate you guys too, because you guys gave me the opportunity to be able to use this resource and get into the Y and take this class. So I definitely appreciate the donors as well, and everyone that's partnered and incorporated with the Y. I thank you guys as well. With the pandemic, the schooling, and, you know, everything, let's just help each other out, you know, try to volunteer or try to get out there and make a difference in any way possible, big or small, and just, you know, lift each other up, because that's all we can do. And use those resources wherever you are in your city. Use your resources, food resources, education resources, training resources. Just use them. They're at your disposal. They're at your disposal. Just get out there and just try to make a difference for yourself or someone else, you know, because it'll go a long way, big or small.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brenda, and good luck with your certification. I know you're going to pass and continue to do some great things in our community. You know, as Brenda mentioned, your gift today can really make a difference for adult education students, just like Brenda. A gift of $100 can provide a uniform and transportation assistance for 2 weeks for an adult education student that's starting a new job. And we know that those resources are so important for them. So if you can, please consider making a gift now by texting YWCA NCA to 44321. You see that information right there on your screen. Well, now we are going to hear from one of our Empower Girls participants, Akira Alston, and her mother, Shadida Alston.
I've been in the YWCA personally since I was like 9, or at least I've been involved with it since I was 9. I'm turning 15 soon. So my mom heard about the program through a friend, I guess. And I first started and I was by myself, I guess. I didn't know anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I was very shy the first couple of times, until one day we had like this circle warm-up group where we had to partner up. And I had to partner up with somebody I didn't know. And we had to basically share different fun facts about ourselves. And we had to open up, which is what I wasn't used to at the time. So since I had to step out of that mindset of trying to keep everything in, and I actually shared things that I was interested in, made friends, and shared what I was like, interested and stuff like that other people also had, and we clicked. I think that was really something that made me want to stay for a long time. I'm a completely different person, and it took a long time to get there, but I think that the YWCA had a big impact and improved my grades, and improved my social skills. It improved my work schedule. Yeah, it just improved a lot for me personally. Before I was in the YWCA, so I guess when I was around 8 or 9, I didn't really have that much desire. I mean, I did, but like it wasn't as strong as it is right now. Like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Everybody else had kind of different types of jobs they wanted to do. And I didn't really have anything to say. I didn't talk that much. I was usually just hiding behind my mom and letting her talk for me most of the time. And when I came into the YWCA, I got to experience different types of things that made me step out of my comfort zone, different types of events and stuff like that, that just completely pushed me out into the limelight. And it made me realize that my anxiety was just that anxiety, and it wasn't really something to really let hold me back from my true potential. I want to be an ultrasound technician when I get older. That's my goal as a job. I want to go to Johns Hopkins as a college. So I'm getting myself prepared for different types of internships this year, this summer, and everything, while still trying to do the Empower Girls. And I think that personally for me, doing the STEAM program, it made me realize my true passion in the science field and in the medical field in general. I want to say thank you to all the donors and volunteers over the years for supporting the YWCA and the STEM program, because without you guys, we wouldn't have the program. And we really need it for people who used to be like me, who want to open up and get that community and do things that they are more interested in and find different interests. And without them, I don't think that we would have that platform. So.
Hi, my name is Shadita Alston. I'm Akara's mom. And I wanted to say again that first and foremost, I'd like to thank the donors for all of the support that they've given over the years. This program has been quite the blessing to my family, particularly me. Because I have watched my daughter blossom into the flower that she is now. She was so very quiet and nurtured. You all have really nurtured her. And as Dr. Seuss would say, oh, the places she will go. I really believe my daughter's going to be going places, and it just feels so much like a community and such a family, because that's what this has been to us, an extended family, a support system. A form of stability, additional stability. I couldn't ask for anything more. To see the things that I've seen with my daughter, it has improved our communication, it strengthened it. It allows her to have self-assessment skills, those young ladies, to see them grow and to be living examples for my daughter as she goes on her journey to greatness, and she can see what her possibilities are. I couldn't ask for more. My daughter is interested in international. She's actually in the international baccalaureate program in her high school. And so as a result, it's very important that she understands and has a cultural awareness and socioeconomic awareness of people around her, and to develop into the global citizen that I know she can become. So her being aligned with the Empower Girls program has actually been sort of like a springboard, and it's facilitated her journey as she moves forward in becoming the global citizen that I know she can become.
Thank you to Akira and her mother, Shadida, for sharing just some really awesome words about what Empower Girls does and their experience. Your gift today can really make a difference for Empower Girls participants like Akira. A gift today of $225 can provide 15 Empower Girls with program activity supplies and so much more throughout their journey to be global citizens, as you heard. So if you can, please consider making a generous gift now by texting, as you see on your screen, YWCA NCA to 44321. Thank you so much. Right now, we are going to turn to our 2021 Leadership Award recipients. We are grateful to honor these amazing women from right here in our city for all they've done to support our community as we navigated what was a really challenging year, I guess year and a half now even. First, we will hear from Radha Muthiah. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Area Food Bank. Now, it is no secret that the COVID-19 pandemic really increased food demand and food insecurity all across the world and our region. The Capital Area Food Bank has risen to the challenge by providing nutritious food to nearly 600,000 people in 2020 and a 50% increase from 2019, which we know is incredible. Radha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jumi, and thank you, Monica, and the YWCA for this incredibly generous award and honor. And I'm so pleased to accept on behalf of all of us at the Capital Area Food Bank. I have to say that it's particularly gratifying to receive this award from the YWCA. The work that you do on a day-to-day basis to empower girls and women is just incredible. And so thank you for all that you've done and how you've adapted over the course of the last 15 to 16 months to continue your programming and outreach to so many of them. It was so nice to hear Kyra speak and Brenda before. Kyra especially, because she just reminded me of myself in some ways, being shy growing up, being a part of a community that didn't always appreciate and provide the opportunity for girls and women to be educated and to succeed. And I know the role that my mom and my dad played in seeking those opportunities for me and removing some of the barriers. And so I so connected with what she and her mom were saying. I have felt especially privileged to have had the life and career that I have had. And I've known since an early age that I wanted to be able to give back and be part of organizations that give back to the community. It's just our luck in terms of what family we're born into, which part of the world that we're born into. But it takes all of us to ensure that those who have been born into unfortunate circumstances or find themselves in unfortunate circumstances, they need a helping hand to be able to live out their own dreams, desires, and aspirations. So thank you to the YWCA that I know does this on a daily basis. And I have to say, during the pandemic and beyond, has partnered with us in ensuring that the basic necessities like food are available to all who needed it. As Jumi just mentioned, the numbers really skyrocketed this past 12 to 15 months, from about 400,000 food insecure individuals in our area to at a peak of 600,000 individuals in our area. And I have to say, most of the people who were, longer term food insecure and newly food insecure were women, women-headed households, those who were people of color. I just recently learned a phrase that I'm going to use going forward, instead of addressing our groups as minorities, to say emerging majority. But we knew that we had to reach out through different channels and means to be able to meet their food needs. So it's been a year unlike any other. We all know that. We've all experienced it as well. But I think being at the food bank, we've had a front row seat as to how quickly people can move from a position of great sustainability and stability to just this need to survive. And we've unfortunately seen that for far too many people. We have a hunger hotline where people call in, for the most part, really to find out where they can go and get food that's closest to where they live. These conversations should have taken 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but many of these took well over a half hour because people needed to get things off their chest. They were shocked that they themselves were asking for food, when in the past they'd say, we volunteered with you, we've been a small sum donor with you, we can't believe that we're doing this. And it took a lot of courage for many of them to call and ask for that food when typically they may not have in the past. So we've just seen so much. And we've also, I think, seen over the last year, we hear a lot about what divides us, whether it's on issues of politics and so many other issues. But what we have seen equally is our community coming together this last year and a half, like never before. We have just seen an understanding that people have that it could easily have been them, who are on this slippery slope. And people have come together, not just with financial resources, but just non-traditional partnerships of organizations and for-profit and nonprofit working together to be able to ensure that those more vulnerable in our community we're able to make it through. And so there's so many partnerships on the public and private front that I think are good lessons for what we should learn and take away from the last year as we move forward. And, I think as we move forward as a food bank, of course, we're going to be there to provide food to those who need it, but we will also be thinking about inclusive economic growth and how, with COVID, we've been given this opportunity to almost begin anew when we think about our region and how it should, grow. And we have the opportunity to provide those extra steps. I think of it as those on-ramps onto the highway that enable so many who are sitting on the sidelines, not feeling a part of our community, to feel more a part of our community. So when Brenda talked about her story of having a certification and being able to engage in an administrative position, those are the kinds of on-ramps that we need. And it's such a privilege to partner with the YWCA and to see the great work that they do in enabling many of those on-ramps for those more marginalized and vulnerable in our community. So thank you for this award. I accept gratefully, from the Capital Area Food Bank, but I know that this is just the beginning of what we can all do collectively in partnership as we move forward. And I would also like to congratulate my fellow winners here, Dr. Nesbitt, who obviously the food bank has worked closely with, and DC Health, Delegate Peña-Melnyk, and Dr. Ramjohn as well. So thank you for this opportunity and the award.
Radha, thank you so much, and congratulations to you. And we appreciate so much the work that you and the food bank do in our community, and will continue to do to make sure that everyone is fed and has a meal, especially when they need it. Our second honoree this afternoon is Dr. Destiny-Simone Ramjohn, who is the Vice President of Community Health and Social Impact at Carefirst, BlueCross, BlueShield. We know the need for community engagement in the healthcare field is so important. It's never been more important as it was in 2020, which is why the leadership of Dr. Ramjohn has been so crucial to ensuring that our local communities have equitable access to quality healthcare, testing, and information, especially about the coronavirus. Dr. Ramjohn.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here and thrilled to join you virtually to accept this award from the YWCA of the National Capital Area with sincere gratitude. In remote meetings like this, I usually like to play a little game of a virtual meeting bingo. You know what I'm talking about. We all do. You sort of mark your card every time you hear someone say, "Who just joined?" or "Can everyone see my screen?" And these have become so commonplace as many of us transition to remote working over the last 16 months. And if you're anything like me, one thing you have definitely done is attempted to speak only to realize that you were talking on mute. And what I find so fascinating about that is that so many of my colleagues become helpful at the same time. Last week, I was in a meeting and I counted 7 people spoke up to say it. You're on mute. But something struck me while on a call this morning with a large public-private partnership working to address teen pregnancy. There were about 30 people in that room, and after about 2 minutes, I noticed something. Most of the participants were men, and there were no teens and no teen moms on the call. I scanned the gallery to make sure that I wasn't missing anyone, and I hadn't. How had this happened? Was it on purpose? Was it an accident, an oversight? I think what the call showed me was that we were lacking the voices of those who are most impacted by the issues we seek to address. Our teen moms had effectively been muted. If we are going to achieve the bold mission of the YWCA to eliminate racism, to empower women, we must ensure that we have not left our communities on mute. If the twin pandemics of structural racism and COVID-19 have taught us anything, the road to recovery must ensure that our communities that are most impacted are not muted. So I want to tell you 3 ways to ensure that your communities are not on mute. First is to hear. Ensuring communities not on mute does not mean giving voice to the voiceless. What if instead of telling her that she was on mute, my colleague stated, We can't hear Rebecca, so instead I'll make the points that she wanted to make without asking her. It would be bizarre, right? But isn't that what so often happens in our communities? We plan to address education without asking young people. We plan housing initiatives without getting the point of view from our unstably housed neighbors. We can no longer do that. Instead of giving voice to the voiceless, let's give ears to the earless. Second, listen. Know when your voice isn't needed. When our hearts are sensitive to pain and injustice, we have a tendency to just charge in. And it's easy to assume that we've got the basic layout of the problem. Whether it's sexual assault or domestic violence, it's easy to assume we understand what those who experience it are going through. And that zeal is good, but it often takes the place of real listening. Instead of seeking to be seen as a champion for justice, take a moment to listen. Offer your ear instead of your voice. For a moment, be a student instead of a cheerleader. Third, act. After much discernment, I do want you to act. And sometimes this means speaking truth to power. But when you speak, do ensure that you are speaking both of the tragedy and the resilience. The way that we act when we speak up says a lot about our understanding of justice and transformation. When we speak only of the tragedy or the needs of a community and nothing of the resilience of those living there, we paint them as victims. And our communities are not victims. They are triumphant and worth celebrating. So when you do speak, don't look just at the needs. Find the assets. Find the good. I promise you that it is in there. So hear, listen, and act, just like the YWCA has for over 160 years. Hear, listen, and act like Monica has, and who I'm so thankful for her leadership as CEO of the YWCA. Each and every day, she and her amazing team, including Megan McKinley, work to address economic empowerment, sexual assault, domestic violence, and racial justice. We need more of that. And it's just like the inspiring women I get to share this award with. Dr. Nesbitt, Radha, Delegate Peña-Melnyk, congratulations to you. I too have watched you rise to the occasion and hear, listen, and speak in the face of great difficulty, with leadership, with grace, and with excellence. And it really is just like the entire Carefirst BlueCross BlueShield team of difference makers who have worked tirelessly and relentlessly to ensure that we supported organizations in their ability to address economic and health and social needs arising from or exacerbated by COVID-19. So thank you to the CHSI team, especially Vadim, Morgan, and Hosanna, as well as our public policy, marketing, government programs, community health plan, and health services teams who made our COVID response possible. Alice Walker has said, look closely at the present you are constructing. It should look like the future you are dreaming. Let's make sure that going into the recovery from our twin pandemics, that we don't leave beautiful young people like Kira and her mom on mute, so that they too can help us dream with and plan for justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ramjohn. So many good nuggets of information there. Hear, listen, act, and let's not mute. I wrote them down because I'll be using those moving forward as well. Our third honoree this afternoon is Delegate Joseline Peña-Melnyk. Delegate Peña-Melnyk represents the 21st District of Maryland, which includes portions of Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County. Delegate Peña-Melnyk has made public health a priority of hers since her appointment to the Maryland House of Delegates in 2006. And this was no different once the pandemic hit last year. She was appointed to the Joint COVID-19 Response Legislative Group and has worked tirelessly to promote health equity and accessibility for all of the people that she represents and the state of Maryland. Delegate Peña-Melnyk.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for this award. I am so touched and humble. I want to thank the YWCA of the National Capital Area for this leadership award. I am blessed to be here with all of you. I also want to congratulate the other recipients of today's awards. And I have to follow Dr. Ramjohn, who spoke beautifully, and it really was very moving. Thank you for your friendship and for the work you do in Annapolis as well. I want to thank the YWCA for your service and dedication to empowering women and fighting for civil rights and equality. And I'm going to go off script for a second. And this is coming from my heart. I didn't write it down. I'm going to not read my notes because I think it's important. And they have not asked me to do this. So whatever you were thinking of giving today, I hope you can triple it. And I'm going to tell you why. It is so important to empower girls and women. I came from the Dominican Republic when I was 8 years old to New York City with my mother, who did not even, I don't think she even finished the 3rd grade elementary, and with my sister. My sister and I are 11 months apart. We arrived in New York, and it was tough. We didn't have a place to stay. We stayed with a relative for a little while. My mom did not know English. My mom was on welfare for a while. And I remember going to the welfare office, and she would actually volunteer me to translate for many women. And I say women because it was a lot of women that were waiting for their interview. The questions that were asked of these women and the way that they were asked were really offensive, demeaning. And at that young age, I learned that I wanted to be a voice for my community. I learned that I wanted to be a voice for women. So you see, you contributing, investing, donating in a young woman can make a difference. Because I wouldn't be here today, the first to graduate in college in my family, the first to go to law school, to run for office, to be a legislator today. If someone did not invest in me, if someone didn't see something in me that I would make a difference. So it's worth it. Now I'm going back to my script. I am a legislator in Maryland, as it has been described, and I am the vice chair of the health committee. One thing that has come to my attention in the last year is the impact of COVID on our minority community. In Maryland, we have 24 jurisdictions, 23 counties in Baltimore City. The county with the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the entire state of Maryland is gorgeous Prince George's County. Who lives there? Majority African American and Latinos. And when you dig deeper, the zip code in the entire state with the highest number of COVID-19 cases is 20783. Who lives in 20783? The immigrant Latino community. So why is that? It's because of the way they live, those social determinants of health. It is the way they live in very crowded places. I know of 9, 10 people during the pandemic that I was helping with food distribution. They were all positive in one family. It is that they're essential workers. They can't stay home and work and have Zoom meetings like we can. They have to go out there and expose themselves in order to protect us. It is the environment they live, not having access to good food. It is the air they breathe, the lack of money, the lack of transportation, the lack of education. And for so many decades, we have underfunded public health. So those health disparities really affect our Black and Brown community. However, if we have to be honest, it starts with the decades of racism that act as a constant stress that erodes the health. So do things like housing, what I just described, not being able to afford housing. But I also learned that even when the Black and Brown community have access to healthcare, which is not really often, that well-trained doctors can be biased and have biases that affect the care given to these minority patients. So as a legislator, that young girl that came from the Dominican Republic with a mom who did not speak English, who did not even get a third grade education, but someone believed in me, like the YWCA. I decided to do something about it. So I put in a bill, I introduced a bill that requires in the state of Maryland implicit bias training for all healthcare providers, for all of them, because it is important to learn our culture, to learn our value system, so that you can relate when you're taking care of us. I also introduced a bill that declares racism as a public health crisis in the state of Maryland. Because yes, we have to have that discussion. And that bill established the Maryland Commission on Health Equity, because we must develop a health equity framework for all our departments in the state of Maryland if we really want to make a difference. So when you think that a human being is not capable of making a difference, you're mistaken. Because we are worth it, especially young girls and women, because we can make a difference. And I want to just stop right here and say thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you so much for this award. I do not take it for granted. And I am very honored to be here with the recipients of these awards because they're so impressive. Thank you for the work you do. And please believe and make a difference. Be active in your community. Don't take your precious life for granted. You can make a difference, and we must make a difference. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for your powerful words, Delegate Peña-Melnyk. Our final honoree this afternoon is Dr. LaQuandra Nesbitt. In her role as Director of the DC Department of Health, you can imagine that Dr. Nesbitt's past year has been very, very busy. I know we've had her on our air on NBC4 so many times, but really through it all, she has used her expertise to provide thoughtful guidance and leadership during this pandemic with specific focus on communities that have been impacted, especially hard by COVID-19, and low-income communities and also communities of color. So right now we want to welcome Dr. Nesbitt to the stage.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Jumi, for that introduction. It is indeed, as you say, it's been quite a year, and I want to thank you for your leadership and great communication to our residents and to the region during this time. I want to thank Monica Gray and the National Capital Area YWCA for presenting me with this award, the 2021 Women of Achievement Leadership Award at this year's luncheon. For my years of service to district residents and especially the service in the global pandemic. You know, battling this pandemic has allowed me to combine my goals for the district, two of them in particular, improving health literacy and education and achieving health equity. There are many health resources and services available here in the district. However, we must work to ensure that those resources are distributed equitably and that services are provided in both a culturally competent and a culturally acceptable manner. Even during these unprecedented times, we continue to support health education for a variety of health conditions and behaviors, some of which have been exacerbated by the impact of COVID on our healthcare system and our public health systems, ranging from our cancer and chronic disease prevention efforts to nutrition and providing an increased amount of food access for our most vulnerable residents, to ensuring that we continue to focus on sexual and reproductive health for our youth and young adults, and in particular, our women. Additionally, we know we can always do more, and we will continue to be intentional in our efforts to address health inequities and disparities and provide education and resources to every resident, focusing on meeting people where they are so they can achieve their optimal level of health. Just this morning, I joined the mayor to do a ribbon cutting and a kickoff. And we were introducing to the community 7 organizations that really need no introduction. These are organizations that have a history of being trusted organizations here in the District of Columbia. And collectively, they have hired 150 members from our community to go out and to canvass all of our neighborhoods to make sure that everyone gets all of the information they need to get vaccinated and to help pull us across the finish line. So that's just another classic example of how we are being very intentional and diligent about meeting people where they are in order to eliminate these health inequities. You know, in receiving awards like this, I'm I'm reminded of the significant impact women, and in particular women of color, have on our community, our nation, and even the world. Just being here with the other honorees is a great reminder of that. I'm honored to have received support from so many community leaders and colleagues throughout my time in DC. And the pandemic itself has really shown me what it means to be both a leader and a great teammate. It is my goal to continue to inspire others and to provide mentorship to those who aspire to have a positive impact on the world through public service. It is indeed the passionate public servant in times like these who serves with passion, compassion, and integrity. While we're not completely out of the woods yet regarding the pandemic, we're getting there. We are just days away of meeting the goal. Mayor signed a pledge that we will have 70% of our adults vaccinated by July, and we're going to make that goal. But we're going to commit ourselves to plowing past that goal. And we can do that with everyone doing their part to stop the spread of the coronavirus and to have more people in our community receiving their COVID-19 vaccinations. You know, these vaccines have been received by millions of people now. They are proven to be safe and effective and are indeed our best tool for ending the pandemic. I know that being a leader is nothing without the rest of the team, and I count each and every one of you as a member of the team. And together, we will continue to make progress, and not only ending the pandemic but also to make Washington, D.C. the healthiest city, soon to be state, in America. I want to thank you all again for this tremendous honor during this luncheon, and I look forward to the great contributions we'll continue to make collectively here in our city and our region. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nesbitt. And I have to say that I am a proud recipient, one of the 70% in DC, almost 70% that received the vaccine here in the city, Ward 5. So we appreciate all the work you and the health department are doing. Now I want to just say congratulations and thank you to all 4 of our phenomenal honorees. I know that we're virtual, sitting at our virtual tables, so we all can't clap and give them a standing ovation, but I know you were at home or at the office, wishing them well and such a great job. So we want to thank you and congratulate all 4 of you once again. Before we conclude this afternoon, I would like to welcome Kathy Bradley Wells up to the stage. She is the YWCA National Capital Area Board Chair, and she would like to share a few words before we conclude this afternoon.
Thank you, Jumi. As the board chair for the YWCA National Capital Area, I'd like to just take a moment to thank you. Thank our dynamic honorees, our generous supporters, and all who have joined us today. From the inspiring words of our adult education student, Brenda, and our Empower Girl, Akira, and her mother, Sadita, I hope you all have learned a little bit more about the YWCA and the work it does every day to eliminate racism and empower women. We invite you to visit our location at 14th Street Northwest to learn more about our programs, tour our facility, and learn about ways to get involved. Our mission to end racism and empower women is displayed boldly and proudly in the front window. We know that empowered women empower women, and that ending racism is the job of many, not just a few. I hope that you leave here inspired and will consider a gift today to support this critical work. Once again, thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Back to you, Jumi.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Good to see you. Well said on everything you said to wrap us up this afternoon. So once again, I just want to say on behalf of NBC4, Telemundo 44, and NBC Sports Washington, I want to thank you for having me here today to serve as your MC. Look forward to seeing you all in person in 2022. And once again, just like Kathy said, if you haven't already, we really hope that you'll consider making a gift donation by texting YWCA NCA to 44321. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you next year.